Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about why I loved flipping multifamilies, small multis, 2 to 4 units versus single family. Now I did both, but I really specialize in multifamily, and here are a few reasons why. Number one, security. So many of you probably have known when you flip the single family, you've got nobody living there. You've got curious people walking by when you've got work being done. Sometimes they break in, maybe steal some tools, some equipment, some materials. It's the unfortunate reality of flipping houses. With a multifamily, though, typically you can do it where you can keep at least one tenant in the building. And so they not only provide a source of income for you during the project, but they also provide security because they live there. So they're a set of eyes that's constantly there, that's always looking out for the property. And so I found that I had fewer problems with these multifamilies where I at least had at least one tenant living there. I also want to underscore the importance of the income. So many times with a 3 unit, a 4 unit, you can have 2, 3 tenants living there, generating pretty solid income for you throughout the project. That can help you with your financing costs, with your carrying costs. It can help you with even funding the project to some degree. So loved funding for those flipping multifamilies for those reasons. Um, the other reason that I loved it, and I just looked at my data on this, I found that with multifamilies, my flips were often less extensive. In other words, the rehab costs were significantly less. And I just pulled the data. I found that flipping a single family, my rehab costs were less than half the amount of money I often had to invest into a single family. And my data bore that out. So, why is that? So, number one, oftentimes, when you're dealing with flipping a multifamily, you can buy from a family member or an owner who just doesn't want the property. Maybe they inherited it, or they're just tired of dealing with tenants, and so they're willing to sell at a little bit of a discount, even though there's really not that much work that needs to be done. And I can tell you, I spoke with many sellers and asked them to just do the work themselves because they would get a lot more money. But they decided they just didn't want to. And so, what are some examples of that? Some of the most common were just like simple fire coding updates. So that's just hiring one electrician to go in there and install smoke detectors. Those are some of the common things that would need to be done to rehab a multifamily, a small multi, to get it ready for sale. And then, turning over an apartment, putting in a kitchen or a bathroom or both, not too extensive. And then you can get that one really good apartment in good shape. So the way I would typically do it is when I flipped a multifamily, I would go in, work with the tenants, explain what was going on, be completely transparent about my intentions, that I don't intend on holding the property for very long. I always believed that was the right thing to do. And then be honest with the first floor tenant. So my goal was always to make the first floor vacant because I found that the retail buyers on the back end when you sold typically wanted to live in the first floor. Okay. And so I was really transparent with the tenants about that. We would work out a cash for keys agreement, which I can talk about in a separate video, and get them to move out in a reasonable time frame, give them some money to help them with their moving expenses, and then get started on the project immediately after. So that was one good way to set the right standard with the tenants, keep a few tenants there to generate income, also maintain the security, really do a nice rehab on one of the units in the building, and then put it up on the market and sell it. And I just really enjoyed the flipping of those multifamily properties for all those reasons: the security, the continued income during the project, and of course the relative ease of the rehab, which is what I found. So call me if you ever need funding to flip a multifamily, or you're just looking to get a second set of eyes on a potential deal that you have. I'd be happy to take a look at it with you, give you some advice, share my opinion for whatever it's worth, and I hope this helps.